What's up, guys? So we're going to be doing a little update on the XJ. Going to show you guys how that oil separator's been working for me, and check all the fluids, and then kind of get some future plans and kind of what needs to still be fixed on this thing. But it's been running pretty good for the winter. So go ahead and unscrew the oil separator here. Oh, we are pretty full. So lots of condensation buildup when it's cold, obviously, but you can see we got a lot of water and definitely some oil in there. So clean this little area here. So this is about, I would say, probably 2 weeks of driving. So yeah, instead of all this going back in the intake, we're catching it at least, so that's good. Oil jug. So this does freeze when it's, below freezing here. So let's have this little mesh in there to kind of catch more of the vapors. So I just have been emptying this like once every 2 weeks in the wintertime. It'd be interesting to see how much I have to empty it in the summertime. See if there's still that kind of same amount of condensation or not. Alrighty, so that's the catch can. It's doing its job. I need to probably get a new intake because the corrugated hose here is actually split on the bottom side, so I just have some duct tape on there for now, just to keep, have it keep going through the filter. So I got to figure something out with this, and these old Renix ones are different. They actually just bolt up to the throttle body versus having like a like an opening and then a hose clamp goes around. These like literally bolt down to it, so it's hard to find anything really aftermarket. So if anyone has an idea on this setup, what I'll probably do is I'll probably have to modify this. Maybe I'll cut this and then find just a generic corrugated hose and clamp that onto there and there. Hopefully that would do the job. So I'm getting a lot of oil leaking towards the back of the valve cover here, and I think it's either coming from this orifice here or maybe the cap here and just leaking down all the way here. But I'm getting a little bit of an oil leak here, which is not great, but I'm keeping the oil topped off, so not that big of a deal. Coolant's good, right in the middle there, and then when it heats up, I just right below the max there, so that's good. I changed the oil on her. When I first put the catch can on, that catch can was full of water, so I just figured probably a good idea to change the oil, and it was time for an oil change. So new filter and oil. I went with some Valvoline stuff, some super high mileage, like 175,000 plus mileage oil, just to try it out. Might as well. Doesn't really matter in this thing, but figured give all the help it can get. And we are full on oil. That's good. Battery's good. Alternator's charging all right. Good on washer fluid. That feels really good. Good on brake fluid. Excellent. This is my least favorite brake thing. Keeping that down with that metal piece, but all right. So kind of want to tell you guys on. So I was having some issues with this thing running properly. It randomly dying on me while I was driving. Random things like that. I'd go get somewhere, try to start it up, wouldn't start. So did a bunch of testing. I tested the coolant temperature sensor on the block, because apparently that, I think, controls the air-fuel ratio for the computer. Tested that one. That one was perfectly fine. Replaced the fuel filter on this thing. Made sure the fuel pump was running good. I tested the relays. I cleaned all the relays, all the contact points. I rewired some of the connection points over here that the connections weren't great. So basically did everything I could. I cleaned the throttle body, made sure that was nice. Checked all the hoses, everything was good, and it was still just randomly dying on me. Weymouth actually came over and was doing some diagnosing with me because just wanted another mind to kind of, maybe think of something I hadn't thought of. So we were doing a bunch of different testing. We tested that coolant temperature sensor, tested a bunch of other things, and then he had brought another fuel pump relay. And after we were kind of fiddling with, we did all the cruiser's tips. He has like a forum page or a website with a bunch of stuff for Renix on what to test, voltages and all that kind of jazz, just to check all the systems and or refresh some things. So we just went through the list and did all of those, and we were still having the same problem. So he actually bought a fuel pump relay and swapped the relay and went for a test drive, and that fixed the problem. So what's interesting is I did test my fuel pump relay and I got it to click, but obviously I probably should have done some more testing on the actual fuel pump relay itself. But literally swapped it over and she's been perfect ever since, which is awesome. So big thanks to him. But another thing that this thing was having a problem with is I was having a high idle issue where when it was cold, obviously wintertime, when it was cold, it would start up and then idle at like 2,000, 2,500 RPM. Sometimes it would go higher, and then after about a minute, it would come back down and be fine. So what I discovered is that, so I did a bunch of testing. I tried to reset because this throttle position sensor is like a potentiometer, so you have to properly adjust this guy to get the idle correct. So what I did is I took the throttle body off, cleaned it, put it back on, no change. So then what I noticed is that this throttle position sensor, this little actuator here, or this little, I guess, elbow thing, was bent upward. So what I think had happened is the previous owner, to get this thing to idle nicely, just bent the throttle position sensor to get it to idle nice. And then when I went here to go reset everything, obviously everything was way out of spec. So I rebent the throttle position sensor thing back to square one, and then redid everything, and I was still having that same issue. So what I did, I took the throttle body apart, and there is a stopper screw right here. So this little screw here is almost like a stopper, okay? And this guy was also bent. So he had bent this one and the throttle position sensor. So I rebent everything back to where I thought was factory position. And then I basically, with the throttle body, with the intake off and the throttle body all separated, I backed this screw out and then redid this so that the throttle body is like barely closed, like just at the point of like not cracked, but like as closed as possible. And this is not an idle controller. This is literally set from the factory. So someone had messed with this, and that's why I was chasing around trying to figure out why this thing, I went through a bunch of air idle control valves. That wasn't it, but it literally was this screw here that had gotten messed with. So what I did is I basically tried to reset everything back to the factory spec and got that butterfly valve basically as closed as possible without binding inside there. And once I did that, then I had to readjust the throttle position sensor. And basically how you do that, there's a couple wires here. You stick your multimeter in there, and then I tightened the top one and kind of left the bottom one a little loose. And then basically you do your tester. I might do a video on this if you guys care to know how to adjust these. There's a bunch out there, but if you guys want me to do a video, let me know. But basically, use your multimeter and then you just tap this thing and make it at, I believe it's 17% throttle when it's quote unquote like closed or at idle. So you bump it and then you lock it down, And then after I've done that, I haven't had any issues with the high idle, nothing like that. It idles a hair low. I'm not exactly sure what the factory setting is for this, but I idle at around 400 to 500-ish, depending. It does depend on the weather. It still idles nice, and the idle kind of picks up high when you first start up when it's really cold, and then kind of slowly kind of creeps down. And by high, I mean like maybe 900 to 1,000, and then it comes right down right away. But when it's warm, it does idle just a hair low. But I figured for wintertime, I wanted to get it set where it's not idling, at 1,500, 2,000 RPM. I figured, a little bit lower is going to be fine than, it's screaming its head off when it first starts up. So that was that fix. And then this thing's been running good ever since. It's been a great winter ride. The 4-wheel drive works great still. And I've been washing her off, trying to keep her as rust-free as humanly possible. But yeah, that's pretty much everything under the hood. That catch can's doing its job, which is nice. I'm not, burning, that used oil, because I believe I had some blow by. 270,000 miles will do that. But yeah, so plans for the XJ, what need to be done in the summertime. I believe I have a turn signal out in the front. The bulb's burnt, so I gotta fix that. That'll be sooner. I need to black out the trim on this here, paint the roof rack black, this chrome, paint this black, probably paint this black, finish up my Bondo repair work that I just wanted to seal up before winter. I need to redo the bottom side, the underside of the Cherokee, just seal it up again, sand some of the rust off. I need to fix my door. My door is rusting all on the bottom here, so got to repair that. The other thing I have to do is paint the chrome bumper black that out, of course. I need to refinish my wheels. My wheels, you can see, are starting to rust a little bit, so redo that. I think I do have a slight leak at the back of the fuel pump. There's a rubber like O-ring that seals that fuel pump in. I think there's a slight leak, because if the tank is full, I will get just a little bit of leak out of there. So I got to fix that. Got to fix the Bondo work on there. Fix my rust on there. So something must have hit it. The previous owner said, I think an axe fell on this. So fix that. Paint the trim around the windshield, the back window here, paint that black as well. Everything on the inside is pretty much done. I would like to add a radio. The radio doesn't work in this, but I would like to add some speakers to this. I have an old 98 Dakota that I have a nice stereo in, so I might steal the amplifier from that and the whole wiring kit from it, and then the speakers, and put that in this thing, because right now I just use one of those UE Mega Booms, and I just set it right here on top of the 4-wheel drive switch to get my music. So it would be nice to have a little bit better music sound system in it. In wintertime it'd be nice. But and then the last thing really is rear leaf springs. You can see the rear is sagging a little bit in the back, and so new rear leaf springs just to kind of bring it back up. And then I believe my on these XJs, they have a oil filter relocation setup where it isn't right off the block. It has like an adapter piece. I think the O-rings in there are deteriorated or something like that, because I do have just a small oil leak. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. So anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the update video on the XJ. The weather here has been real brutal. It's been below freezing pretty much every day, and today was actually a really warm day, so figured I'd get out and make a little update video on the XJ. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you found it helpful or enjoyed it, hit the thumbs up button. That helps me out a bunch. definitely consider joining my Discord server where I got a bunch of other subscribers in there who post pictures of their Jeeps, kind of talk Jeeps and get any questions about your Jeep or kind of show off your projects. It's kind of a fun little side community besides the YouTube. But, and I'll leave that's in the description of this video. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.